Today on Unpacked.
She came into my room and she tried to hug me.
Yes.
And I immediately stepped back and she broke. She was like, this is insane. My daughter doesn't know who I am.
Your both legs are broken and you are bleeding, and then you've got a head injury.
And I feel like it's almost unfair that I got to forget that and they still carry it with them every single day.
Losing your memory must be one of the most scary things to experience, and our guests today are here to tell their stories. Let's unpack. It was in 2016 that a minor accident at her home led to Johannesburg resident Bongi Mangope losing her memory. As a matriculant at the time, the world as she remembered it was no longer the same. Entertainer Skolopad will never forget the car accident in 2018 that resulted in a blackout of certain memories and events. The accident left the 37-year-old mother blank and changed forever. Both ladies are here to share their stories. Let's unpack. Bongi, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And joining us via video con, we have Skolopad. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
All right, so both of you ladies have had the experience of amnesia. Let me find out from your side, Bongi. What type of amnesia have you experienced, and how can you explain what amnesia is to the people that are watching?
So for me personally, I think because when I was diagnosed, they tell you that no two brain injuries are the same.
Yes.
So mine was a head trauma caused by physical pain like on my head.
Yes.
And I ended up forgetting everything from before my accident. Everything from before that point, people and places is completely gone.
Yes.
But everything else is sort of their basic skills. I know how to do everything.
Yes.
Just I couldn't recognize people's faces and places that I've been to.
So yours wasn't related to things like your abilities, like how to walk.
No.
How to feed yourself. And
No,
things
those
like
things
that.
all stayed.
And in your case, Skolopad, what type of amnesia did you have?
I had a mild one after the car accident, but it's just that I only forget people.
Okay.
But
okay.
Generally, I can remember everything, but I wouldn't remember who you are.
Is it that you can remember? You don't remember a person at all, or you recognize the face, but you don't know who that face is?
Yes, I can see who's this person, but I just forget when did we meet, what did we do? Yes.
All right, Bongi, let's start with your story.
Sure.
Take us back to that day where you got injured. What happened? And take us through the day.
So basically my life before, absolutely normal, running about my business. That actual day, so in my bathroom, I have a basin and above it, it's the medicine.
You were a teenager at the time?
Yes, I was 17, about to be 18.
Okay.
So in my bathroom, normal basin, cabinet above my head. I'm rinsing off my face. I lifted my face with the force of God. Lifted my face up and knocked it on the cabinet. Passed out for about 30 minutes. I was completely out. I woke up after that. I felt that, okay, something is not right and I'm uncomfortable, but we go about our business. Told my mom.
You waking up though, I mean, you knocked your head.
Yes.
And you were out. Nobody
Completely
noticed
gone.
that you were out
No.
in the bathroom. When you came to, were you aware that you were out for a while, or were you like?
I knew that I was
weird.
on the floor and something must have been wrong.
Yes.
When I got out, they were like, you were in the bathroom for quite some time. Is everything okay? I think I was like, no, I knocked my head. I'm in pain.
Yes.
Told my mom and she saw that I was swollen. I had a ping pong on my head, quite a
Yes.
large one. And I told her, okay, cool, I'm a little bit uncomfortable, but I think I'm okay. Also, it's very normal to knock your head in the household. So told my whole family, they were like, no, we'll just watch you throughout the day, but if you're okay, then I guess you're okay. Throughout the whole day, went about my business. I was perfectly fine until I went to bed that night. And when I woke up, everything was gone.
So when you say everything was perfectly fine, what kind of pain level were you experiencing?
I mean, I was like, they say I was crying the whole day, kind of just like a very sore headache. But I can take pain. I've got a high pain tolerance. So I could take it, but they said I was uncomfortable the whole day.
And you didn't take any pain medication or anything like that?
I really don't enjoy taking pills. So I thought that I could fight through it.
Yes, yes. So now you get ready to go to bed.
Yes.
And what happens?
Go to bed. Normally, I wake up the next morning. So it's a Sunday the next morning.
Yeah.
My sister's waking me up to go to church. She comes to me and she's like, Bongi, Bongi, wake up, let's go to church. I open my eyes and I start screaming. I'm screaming, I'm crying, help, 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 someone help me, someone help me. And everyone now is panicking because why am I freaking out? Why can't I recognize anyone? So my sister kind of like moves away from me because I'm backing away from her now. So she moves away from me too and she's like, what's wrong? Do you not know who I am? And I'm like, I don't know who you are. Where am I? Where am I? So she stops, calls my other sister, and she's like, come and help, because something is definitely wrong. She comes into the room, and I'm also now panicked because there's two strangers in my bedroom, and I have no idea who they are. And they asking, like, what's wrong? What's wrong? Can you not recognize us? And I'm like, I can't recognize you. I don't know who you are. And they're like, okay, we have to go to the hospital.
And you did you know where you were?
No, I was in a bed. I assumed
were.
it's a bedroom. I assumed it's mine because I was sleeping in it.
Yes.
And I think immediately when they were like, okay, we'll go to the hospital, I knew immediately that I can calm down. I can calm down, I can relax, I'm not in danger.
But now, and this is the part, obviously, that I can only relate to by trying to imagine what it would feel like waking up with complete strangers in a place I don't know. Were you not afraid of them?
I was terrified, but I think reading off of their energy and their body language, I think they were just as scared as I was.
Yes.
I think we were both freaking out. We were both scared, so scared that I was confused, she was confused. So I kind of felt safer that this person is not trying to control me. They're not trying to kidnap me. They're not trying to do anything bad to me. We're both just scared. And that immediately calmed me down.
Was there at any point where they were trying to say, I am your sister?
On the way to the hospital, I got all the stories. By the way, I'm your sister. Okay, cool, nice to meet you. And my mom, I'm your mom. I think for her, the hardest thing was when she came into my room and she tried to hug me.
Yes.
And I immediately stepped back and she broke. She was like, this is insane. My daughter doesn't know who I am.
Did you know who you were?
I mean, I think that kind of just played in. It just made sense. Everyone was calling me Bongi, so I assumed, okay, cool, I'm surely Bongi.
So there was no part of you that was like, I'm Bongi, I'm born on this date?
Nothing.
Nothing at all?
Nothing at all.
Nothing at all?
I had to learn my birthday, I had to learn my ID number, I had to learn who I am, and I think I had to teach myself who I want to be.
Oh, all right. We're going to come back to that. Skolopad, on your side, what was that day like that you experienced this trauma?
I think I only realized it when I went back to work. And then they're like, Ashley, can you not see us? And I'm like, Ashley, it's just that I forgot your names, guys. Can you please tell me? Then they started introducing themselves on me. And then, but the work generally, I could continue the way.
So take us to the day when you had the trauma. What happened prior to the accident?
Okay, I had an argument with my daughter because I wanted her to go to church on that night, Saturday night, but then she just refused, saying no, I won't. And then I ignored her, ne? And I talked to my little brother's son, ne? And then she just started getting weird and started fighting with me. And then I was like, Amo, why are you doing that? No, you're not giving me attention. Why are you giving him attention? And then I started like, what's bagging? Let me just go to my car and then go back to my house because I was at my mom's place by that time. So when I went to my room to get my things, and then she started jumping on me and then taking my phone, crushing my phone. And I was like, but this is getting worse. I didn't argue with her. I didn't do anything. She started taking my car keys and going to my car. And then I wake up my mother, Mama, I wanted to go to my place now because now Amos fighting on me and I don't know why. So when I went to my car, she was there. And I drive to the police station. And then when I get there, I asked one of the police at the police station, can you please take her out of my car? I wanted to go to my place. And they asked me, what's wrong with your child? And I said, I don't know what's wrong with her, but she just started fighting with me and I don't want to fight her back. So I just want you guys help me take her out of my car and then I drive to my place. And then they tried to take her out of my car, but they couldn't because she was fighting. So, and then she started talking to me saying, Mama, let's go back, take me back home, and then you'll go to your place. I won't fight. I was like, okay. On my way back, I saw the two cars, the police cars, and then I immediately stopped to them. And then I'm like, guys, can you please take my kid, my child out of my car? And then they were like, why you don't want to take her to your place? I'm like, no, she's fighting me and I wanted to go to my place. So she started doing weird things. So we went, they said, they told me, no, let's escort you guys to your place. They escorted me to my mom's place. And then when we get there, immediately when they wanted to go to my mom's yard, I immediately ran into my car. But I think she was too quick for me. And then I was like, I started fighting her. Amo, please go back. I don't want you into my car. And then she started crying. And then I literally kicked her like, you understand? So these police started realizing, okay, this is Skolopad. And then they wanted to do a show off in the police station. And they're like, "Me, why are you kicking the child in front of us? We're going to arrest you." And then I'm like, that would be better. As long as I'm not near her, I would be okay. Take me to the police and then I'll be okay. And then they said, no, let's get into the police car. I was like, okay, I just went to the police car. But they said, no, drive your car and then we'll escort you to the police station. You understand? So they escorted me. Then two police went to my car. The other one was in front and the other one was at the back. And my child was there. And before I drive the police, and I was like, where is she going? They said, no, we're taking everything to the police. You, your child, and your car. And I'm like, okay. And then I drive. While I was driving, I couldn't see the humps. Ne? So I just bent over the humps. And then this lady at the back, she was like, "Me, why are you driving like that with us?" And then I started keeping quiet and I just drove. And then this woman was like, "Ntate, Mama, can you please tell her to stop? Now I won't let her drive like that." So this guy didn't say anything. So the lady decided to come over and take the steering wheel and then took the car out on the side. And then I took it back. And then she took it back again. So the oncoming car, I think the guy thought we were drunk. So immediately when I took the car into the road for the second time, so this guy was trying to avoid us because he thought we're going on his way. Can't you know we're not going on to his way? I was just going on my way. So we started heading head on. So that's how the accident happened. And then
So you had a head-on collision at the time?
Yeah. Yes. Then when they took me out of the car and put me down, I was laughing. Ne? Then the ambulance came. And when the ambulance came, they took me into the ambulance and they're like, "Oh, you are bleeding." And then I started telling them, "No, you can take me to Mediclinic, not to the other hospital." They like, "No, they need to stabilize because you've got your both legs are broken and you are bleeding and then you've got a head injury." And then I started laughing. And I laughed until I got to the nearest hospital. And then the doctor was like, "No, is she confused or what? Because you can't be laughing while you are in pain." I think the nerve, how can I say, the senses, I couldn't hear the pain at that time.
So basically there was an issue around your nervous system, basically.
Yes.
Yeah. And
So,
I mean,
and then
were you aware that you were laughing?
I was aware that I'm laughing because I felt like, Joe, this is not happening.
Mm.
And then until they took me to the Mediclinic, and then that's when I passed out. So they told me they did a blood transfusion, and then they took me to theater before they do the operations, and then back to ICU. Then when I woke up, then I just laugh again. Until I'm out there to the general ward. Then that's when I realized I can't take mates. And then they started asking me because my eyelid, the eyelid was off on this side. If you can see, I'm still having this. No? So my right eye actually it's blurred. So I was having kind of eyelid on this one, these artificial ones. So they started asking me, can you remove that one? And I was like, no, I'm still beautiful on that one. But it was like one eye. But I wanted it on until I realized, what's baking, let me take it on. Then I settled, I think after 7 days.
Okay, so when did you actually realize that your memory was not there?
When I wanted to go out, I think it was last year. And then people they were like, yo, at least you are back. And then I'm like, kind of omang. That kind of omang part, it's not nice.
So wait, when you were in the hospital though, was there anybody that came to see you that you know that you didn't recognize?
No, I recognize all of them.
Yes.
It's my family, my friends, I recognize them. Even my fiance on that time.
So you recognize everybody. You were not aware that you had any kind of amnesia until you went back home.
Yes.
And how long was that after you had had the car accident?
After a year, because I was still in pain. Remember, my both legs, I was still on crutches, so I couldn't just go out. So I wanted to refresh my mind and be like, I need to go out there just once again, even if it is an hour. But I couldn't stay even an hour. It was just too much.
And what were you experiencing that was too much?
Me saying "kana omang" to everyone. Yes, and then they like, Joe, now she says she's acting like she doesn't know us. Then I stopped until this year again. I felt because they, one of my friends, they were like, why are you so sabato now kilaban? And then I'm like, people think I remember them and I don't.
Were people aware that you had had a car accident?
Some I need to explain and even show them that I don't, you see, I've got a head injury on my side. So it's just annoying to keep on explaining yourself. And then when you take photos again, they would say, I can get in there. And then I'm like, I can only be comfortable on this side because I can't smile on this side. It's still numb. And then they started like, what happened? So,
yeah, no, that can be very tiring. Bongi, from your side, you now were taken to the hospital. So pick up from that point where you're at the hospital.
So we got to the hospital and we basically had to fill in, the form of what happened and who my name is. And then they ran tests on me. So when they did I think it's called a CT scan on my brain. And then they did the test, it was normal. I had to wait for the results. So now we're sitting in the waiting room with my family and they told me that I can't sleep. I can't close my eyes. I can't take a nap in case something is deeper than they already know right now. So we're sitting in the waiting room with my family. We're talking, we're getting to know each other, but it's still it's awkward. Because they have a bond with me that I don't share with them. But we're trying to get to know each other. The doctor comes back and tells me that I do have swelling on my brain, but it's not that. I think it was on my temporal lobe, which holds the memory of people and places. And I had injured that, but they said it would go down eventually. And after then, I should begin to regain some things, but you can never know because, again, no two brain injuries are the same. But they said that me not remembering anything before bumping my head was a little bit unexpected. So they thought that maybe I was trying to repress something that might have been traumatic in my past that my brain literally chooses not to remember.
And you still can't remember that?
Still can't remember.
Yeah.
If anything bad happened to me, I can't remember. And I think I'm happy that I don't.
Yeah.
Because I don't think I need that.
Well, can I pose a thought to you?
Definitely.
You know, there's a lot of bad things that happen to us in life with specific lessons. So saying what you said now, would you say the same thing if it means that you have to go through those lessons again? In a different way?
In a different way. I think it's very hard for me to compare and contrast the two lives of before and after my accident because I don't have a knowledge of what happened before. But I think losing my memory allowed me to become more intentional. So this in itself was one of my greatest lessons. Because one thing I'll do now is live my best life for me and build the relationships that are reciprocal. Because now it's been about 5 years and the bonds that I have with people now is the bonds that I have, and those were intentional. If we didn't link up after then, were you really my friend? Were you really a close family member if I don't know you even now?
That's so deep. Okay, we'll come back to that deepness. So now, the doctors say you've got a bit of swelling on your brain.
Yes.
Did they admit you? How long were you there
No, they
for?
didn't admit me. They said there was no need. I could just take pills to manage the pain and the swelling would go down. There was no long-term injury on my brain. I was going to be okay.
And who do they recommend you go see when you've
A
lost
neurologist,
your
if
memory?
I needed to go, if I felt like I wasn't coping, if I felt like this thing was really weighing down on me.
Yes.
But I didn't feel that.
So now you are sent back home with
Yes.
strangers that now it's like, what's your name again? And all of that. And what happened next?
We're in the car on the way home, and we're getting to know each other. My name is Bongi. Oh, I'm your mom. My name is Busi. I'm your sister. I'm your sister. I'm your brother. And when we got home, they gave me food. I took pills, and they said, okay, cool, I can take a nap wherever I feel. And I wanted to nap on the couch. And I had to ask my mom, is it okay if I put my feet up on the couch? So the smallest things, can I open the fridge? Where do you get dishes? And that small everyday behavior that I had to relearn that, okay, these are the rules of the house. Okay, you can be free, you can be comfortable. We talk about everything. I had to learn to get comfortable with them all over again.
What about school?
So funny enough, the school stuff actually stayed. There were some things where it would be a little bit shaky, but generally I knew what I was doing in school.
When did you have to go back after the accident?
So my accident was, God bless, during the school holiday.
Yes.
And so I had some time to get to know my friends again, kind of look through my schoolwork before I had to go back to school. And I was in matric. So I had just finished writing my June exams and now it was going to be prelims and finals. So I had to literally absorb all that knowledge that I could if I forgot anything. And I think I did pretty well, yeah.
So in terms of like, what did the doctors say about the type of memory loss you have and if there was a chance of it coming back? Because, you know, when we watch movies, we'll always see they'll say, you know, certain things can jog your memory or if people take you to places, maybe the house where you grew up in and those type of things.
So they told me that it should come back. The general thing is between the day that it happened and about 20 years. That's when it should generally come back. And it does in small things, maybe in the food that I eat, and a memory will come and I'll be like, oh, I actually know like what I'm eating. I know that you made it for me when I was however many years old, and going to certain places as well. It does jog your memory, but it's almost like it's unexpected. It's not like if I eat my mom's food today, the memory will come. I could be eating the same food for day after day after day after day, and on that random day, the memory will knock me like a ton of bricks. And it's very draining, it's very tiring to have to force yourself to fight for that memory, pull the memory and try to remember what happened,
And I mean, for you in terms of getting to know everybody again, because I almost think of it as like you're a newborn just with all the skills without the memory. What are some of the things that you were surprised that you could still actually just participate in without the memory being needed or the relationship being established being needed?
I think what if you ask like my friends and family, the general thing is that my personality stayed. I love talking to people, I love getting to know people, and I got to do that all over again. I got to fall in love with my family and my friends all over again. And I think that was the best thing for us, almost that renewed life, the renewed perspective of life, that, you know, life comes at you sideways. You can never always plan things. And when they do, you need to restart from the beginning, go again and see, do I like you? Do we get along? And they gave me that opportunity to explore who I was as a person and whether they would accept it. And they really did. And the clash in the family comes when on Sundays they tell me we're going to church. And I say, why? And I think for them, that's the lesson of why do you do the things that you do every day? Why? Why do you go to church? Why do you dress this way? Why do you go to the job? Do you even enjoy the job that you do that you've been going to for years? And I think for us both, we're learning that life is too short to be doing something that you don't love or that you don't understand. Everything you do has to be intentional. You need to know why you're doing what you're doing, otherwise you're just a machine running.
So did you end up getting the answers to why they're going to church?
I did, and to this day, it's always like, okay, so why do you fast? Why do you tithe? Yes. I almost challenge their faith to grow mine. And it's a two-way relationship. And I do get the answers. Love God helped me get to where I was. I think without him, I would never have been here. I needed that third-party outsider who could walk me through this journey without any expectation. Because no matter what, your mom has expectations of who you are. Your sisters, your cousins, your friends, they all have some sort of expectation. God was the only one that I could walk a journey with from the beginning, no expectation in sight.
You didn't have, and I find it interesting that your family says your personality stayed the same. Are there things that you suddenly didn't like that you used to like, and vice versa?
I think now I have a low tolerance of people. I think, especially because everyone's an adult now. We're all grown. So when you do something wrong or do something harmful, you did that on purpose. It's not a mistake. It's not like you're a child who just knocked over something by mistake. The words that you say, the way you behave around people, as an adult, you know exactly what you're doing. And I feel like if you don't respect me enough to earn my loyalty and earn my trust and keep it safe, you don't deserve it. And I think I had to teach my family that you can't excuse people's behavior. How long will you excuse why that person was mean to you? Why they always talk about your weight when you're around, or why they always pinpoint, when are you graduating? When are you getting a job? When are you getting married? You know that makes me feel uncomfortable, and yet you persist. You keep going at it. I distance myself from you. And I feel like because I've only known you for about 5 years, I don't have that bond where you're like, we're family no matter what. We're family. We have to forgive. We have to forgive. No, this person continues to hurt you. You cut it.
Does that mean that the bond that you had with someone like your mom or like with your siblings is not the same? And obviously you can't compare it to anything because you don't recall. But would you think from just a rational mind that the bond is different?
I'd like to say that I think now it's even much better. Because I have no expectation of people, I allow you to be who you really are. I allow you to be whatever you want to be. And you know, no matter what, when you have a mom and daughter relationship, you almost have to, you forget that your mom is a human being first.
Yes.
The first thing you see is my mom. You have to cook for me, you have to clean for me, your life is about me. And after my accident, I learned that this woman is just 33 years older than me. She's an adult in her own right. She's a human in her own right. And she's had her own personal experiences that made her who she is now. And I learned those first before I learned the mom side.
Yeah. I find it so fascinating that there are also certain bonds that are unspoken. You can't articulate what they are. Did you ever reach a point in your relationship with someone like your mom where it felt familiar?
I don't think I would say it felt familiar. I just think it made me feel good. I can't say, I know this feeling. I know what it's like to have a mom and daughter relationship, or with my boyfriend. It's not like I know what that love is. I just found that the way we're determining it for ourselves now is the best version that I could ever imagine. Because I can't compare it.
Yes. You wouldn't have anything to refer to. What about your childhood memories? Are they gone?
They're gone, but small things stayed, like songs that we used to sing when I was growing up, movies that I used to watch with my siblings. Those things stay, but it's almost like my brain now kind of imagines the scenario.
Yeah.
So it feels like the memory is back, but in all honesty, it's not really back. I just can imagine that we were in this house when this happened.
Yes.
We had these couches when this happened. So my brain kind of tries to picture myself when I was little with my siblings when they were little, because I've seen pictures, And I tried to create a scenario of what could have happened.
And I'm wondering, like, with what you're saying, did your family ever get frustrated with you?
I think they always do. I think in terms of just sometimes you want to talk about an old memory and I look at you with a blank face like, okay, I don't know what you're talking about, but I'm very interested to know what you're saying. I think there's little frustrations where my mom or my sisters realize that I love you all the same. I love my mom the same. I love my boyfriend the same. I love my friends the same. I love everyone equally because I all met you at the same time. And
That is so deep.
I think that's frustrating for them because they're like, what? Mom's like, I gave birth to you. I deserve that upper, pedestal, but it's very impossible for that to happen. I met you all at the same time. Now you're competing with who puts in the most effort.
And then it's the same boyfriend from back then.
Yes, even before my accident.
So now, how did he deal with that whole experience?
I think it was hard for him, but after that, he really showed up and showed off. He made sure he sees me every single day, walks me through my friends and my past, because he knew a lot about me because we were childhood friends growing up. So he knew everything.
So he couldn't lie to you and say, I was your man, but he wasn't.
No, he really couldn't. My mom actually told me about him on the way to the hospital. She was like, you've got a boyfriend, by the way, but okay, you'll meet him when we come back.
That is so awkward.
Yeah, but it worked out because my family and him get along so well, and he used this as an opportunity to, I think, be the best relationship that we could have been.
Yes.
Use this to make sure that you open and honest about everything and build from the ground up.
Yeah. Skolopad, your experience is completely different. You were speaking, Jorge, there's some people you don't remember. Have any of them shared frustrations with you after you told them, Jorge, actually, I was in an accident and I've had a certain type of amnesia?
Luckily, they all of them, they don't remind me. They're like, okay, yeah, now we understand, né? And then the only thing I never wanted to hear is people not liking me. Hence, I had to start the new Facebook to get along with people that won't even ask me on my with my previous things. Well, I understand. So luckily, those new ones knew the new Skolopad with scars. The old ones, they don't know me with scars. Then they will actually ask me what happened. Then I didn't need that in my life.
What is the reason that you're not so forthcoming about the fact that you were in an accident and that is the reason that you don't remember some people?
Because now the explaining of what happened, it's not nice.
In what sense? That it's tiring having to keep explaining over and over, or not nice in that it's sad for you to have to relay the story?
Being reminded that how beautiful you were, how beautiful your skin were, no, it's not nice. Hence, I don't have my photos, my old photos of me. I only have the photos of me with scars.
So, Skolopad, would you say then that you've made peace with what has happened to you?
I'm trying by all means to make peace with it. And it's not easy. Because the boyfriend no, and say what happened, can you do this?
Is it because our good work on?
Hey, I do want and then you're asking me why, so you'll delete.
So now I get or Tomile Facebook encha. Did you also just cancel some people from your life?
Yes, a lot. A lot.
Why? Which people, in the sense of which types of people did you cancel and why?
I've cancelled most of my family, especially on my father's side.
Why?
Because they were never there on during my accident time. So now when we meet, and then they start asking me, "Hi, Bo, can't you knowledge?" Then get what? And then my friends, because they are outgoing friends, and then I'm not that type of person again. I can't do in a noisy place. And again, I can't sit on a chair for a long time. So when they get annoyed by me saying, so then Gaba Dodge, then said about because o tlo go dodge, you understand? So I only get along with those that understand me. That would even say, "Unzole sharp, can we leave or can we stay?" Because I get about.
Do you think there's any type of lesson or blessing that came out of your accident?
I think the blessing, haholo, because I'm saving a lot to other things. The money that I used to do before by accident, I'm no longer using that money too much. You understand?
Because
Like
because you
I
don't
used
go
to
out anymore and those things.
Yes.
And is there anything else that you feel like was a big lesson for you with this whole experience?
I would say it's more of being loved. Before I knew people would even get threatened by me, and then they will just have that hatred on me. So now I'm just getting more love than before.
And for you, what was the blessing from your experience?
I think for me personally, the blessing might have been that now the people around me, I know love me. And I know that I love them too. I chose for you to be in my life. I chose for us to build a good relationship. So I enjoy that. The people around me, I know love me.
And I mean, you've already alluded to it, but the biggest blessing that came out of this experience?
I think that it also has to be just building solid relationships, not taking life for granted anymore. I feel like things become so mundane and so tedious that you forget that every day you wake up, it's a blessing, and you have to be intentional and purposeful about your life. You can't just go about living without knowing what you want from it. And I feel like now I'm much more intentional. I live every day as if, things could end now. I live as if I had to look in the future, would my future self be happy with the decisions that I'm making now?
Are you at risk, or has the doctor said that you're at risk of any further damage to your brain?
Everything
or
is
anything?
good. Everything is normal. It's just now up to me and my body to decide if I want that memory back or not.
Do you want your memories back? Why?
I don't.
Is there something specific that you feel is too painful?
There's nothing specific. I wouldn't say that there's something that I intentionally don't want to remember. But hearing the stories that my family were telling me about, like growing up and cousins and all those things, I don't need that. I don't need that negativity. I'm at my happiest now. Nothing is like wrong. There's no. I mean, obviously everyone has problems in their lives, you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying my life is perfect, but it's pretty damn good. I'm happy. I live as if I was supposed to be on earth. It's not a mistake. What I went through wasn't a mistake. I was supposed to be here. And now I'm at my happiest. Everything is literally going good the way that I want it. Because I get to decide for myself what I want. Yeah.
So what, and I'm sure there's a viewer right now wondering, what about your past, or if there's certain things you don't remember, that you might not have an emotional attachment to, why is it hurtful to hear about or to think about?
I think for me, it's not that I know the emotion of that, but let's say like my mom's stories, hearing what she went through, and I was obviously there with her. That for me, I hate that she has that feeling. I hate that my sister had to become an adult at such a very young age. I had to become like basically my father at such a very young age. My sisters had to take care of me. My brother became my chauffeur, my driver, my best friend. He did everything for me. And I hate that their lives had to change drastically because of what we experienced as a family. And I feel like it's almost unfair that I got to forget that and they still carry it with them every single day.
So you don't get upset that they still talk about it?
No, I don't. I just want them to have healing because it's almost, I feel so bad that I'm at this joyous point and I have literally no bad memories, but they still do because you can't just forget.
Was this experience healing?
It was. I think I've never actually spoken about it to this extent. So I'm enjoying this, yeah.
Skolopad, would the doctor say that you are fine right now if you still got more recovering to do?
Luckily, I'm attending my psychologist, and then she's happy with everything that I'm going through right now, being at this point, and most especially being happy now. So the sad part of me is on my child, because I feel like I don't need her. And then it's just scary to most people that you cannot abandon your child like that. But I feel like I don't
How
need
old
what
is
I
your
went
child
through.
now?
She's 21. So I feel like I don't need uh, her energy on me now, because I just need to be at my peace place now. I don't need that, because whatever wrong she's doing, it just triggered back what happened. Then to be honest with you, I'm not that loud person that would just shout. I'm a very quiet down person. So there, if it's just started getting weird, or she started getting I just remove myself from that. Like I would say now I'm having 3 months not going home because of her, because I get the stress.
I think that's very heavy, as a mother to have such a tumultuous relationship with your daughter. And I really, really hope somewhere the two of you can find middle ground to come together and that it doesn't weigh down on you. And I hope that obviously your healing journey continues, because from us talking, it sounds like you're still very angry about what happened to you.
Very true.
Are you
And
angry?
most especially when people,
Yes?
because most people, when they started knowing Skolopad, they know me with my child, having that bond. So now that I'm not with her anymore, I'm not showing our moments with her. And then they started questioning that. And like, don't even ask. Because now I need to explain.
So, Ofodile from the accident.
I would say ke fodile because ke rwala topo, ke kgona ho etsa zeket. I like say for sure it's fine. Kinana, it's a blessing for sure no because I cannot do that.
Bring back for sure.
I can just zeket. That's it.
Yes, I understand. And then just in terms of the memories, how Ofodile.
Ke fodile, to be honest. Ke fodile. And then luckily, I think I'm just glad you guys invited me, because I was about to have a shoot on telling this story on what happened. Because what's bad is with this thing that is stuck on my head is that during my car accident, there was a person who died. Mocheke Totsing accidentally and I died. And that on its own, because now, I think last year when I started contacting the children, like the daughters of that guy, then they like, no, I think also we are okay, especially more of Orephonetti and then Wabualorona. We just don't want Mama to be reminded of what happened. She knows we've been telling her, or no, the lady recoverile, but then about what happened.
Sure. I'm happy to hear that you are still in good spirits considering what you went through. And I hope gore o tlo fola go fetella gore o boele vosho in your life, but also just that you can find healing, and that, maybe it is a blessing in disguise that there's some people you don't remember.
Yes, too much. I'm just happy I went through this.
Is there anything that you'd like the viewers to know?
I would say to them, whatever things that come to you, just know it has to happen to you. It wouldn't happen to anyone else. But Modimo kgethile hore e etsahale wena, because he knew hore you'd pass through that. And you having the wounds, I mean, the pain that you went through, it might be the healing to someone else.
Yeah, well said. Thank you so much, Skolopad, for that. On your side, Bongi, final words for the viewers.
I think I'll just have to say what I live by. Plan for the future, prepare and save for it, but enjoy today. You're in it now, enjoy it today.
So all about being present.
Be present,
and
be
being here.
in the moment, put your phone down, look at people in the eyes, find out someone else's story before you rush to tell yours.
Well said. Thank you so much, Bongi. And the same to you. I wish you and your whole family healing for everything that you've been through. I know that we speak here about your perspective of the experience, but I can't imagine how difficult and frustrating it may have been for them. But we are glad that you're okay and that you are here with us.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Memories are an interesting thing in that they can carry, laughter. You can smile and look back at something, or actually be broken down and hurt by something that took place. The beautiful thing is every day we get a new opportunity to create new ones. I'm very, very fascinated by a conversation we've had today with amnesia. As you can see, there's so many different types of amnesia. We've only dealt with the 2 stories that we had today from our guests, and I hope something was ignited within you from what they have shared with you today. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a good evening. Next time on Unpacked, he had beaten you to a point that he broke your ankle.
If it's too good to be true, it probably is. I got 5 protection orders against him. He had sent hitmen on my mother, so my mother was murdered.
Thank you so much for watching Unpacked with Relebogile Mabotja. Make sure you subscribe to my channel where you can get to watch more episodes. But more importantly, you can be part of our online community. Comment down below, share with us who you'd like to see on the show, or what story you'd like us to discuss. We love engaging with you. Keep it coming and don't forget to subscribe.